Chris Doering, SEC Network, former Florida great, with us now on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. What's up, Chris? How are you?
I'm good. Sorry about the setup here, man. I thought the technology was in line, but it was not. So you will not be seeing Butters. He's right here by me, but you're not going to get a chance to get him on the air today.
No
man.
Butters today. Well, they were asking back behind the glass if we would see Butters.
Well, at least we get a wife beater, right? Where's your mustard stain?
I refuse to wear sleeves when I work out, bro. So this is straight out of the gym for you boys.
Hey, if we had guns like you, we would be right there the same. Okay, so cocktail party this weekend. You guys are the biggest underdog you've ever been to Georgia. What is I mean, look, we see 3-touchdown dogs, win every 2 or 3 weeks. What is a path to victory for this Florida team?
Man, it's hard for even me as a lifelong Gator fan and staunch supporter of this program to see a path that carries Florida to a victory. The good thing is, though, I think you can look back to what Missouri did earlier in the season and maybe give you some hope in that manner. And we all know that things sometimes happen in unexpected ways when this game takes place over in Jacksonville. The series is known to have weird occurrences, including a few years back when Florida was a 12-point underdog and ran the ball like 60-something times. Treon Harris threw, I think it was 3 of 6 passing, and Florida somehow found a way to win that one. So, I think it's got to start with being better on third down. Florida's 130th out of 131 teams on third down defense. They got to find a way to get off the field. They got to find a way to win on first and second down to put Stetson in long conversion opportunities. And then offensively, I think it's all about Anthony Richardson. We've seen multiple games this year where he's been an absolute star, like the Utah game, like the Tennessee game, where you use his athleticism not only to run the ball, but to put pressure on defenses by being outside of the pocket. I think that's the game plan that you have to have and hope that you minimize mistakes.
Where are you on Billy Napier right now through year one? And nobody should be judged by the first year, but there are certain building blocks you look for in year one. You had the big win to start with. Since then, how's he building the program? How's he recruiting? How do you feel as a former Gator?
Well, nobody should be judged in their first year, but we judge them in their first year primarily because Shane Beamer goes out last year and has success in his first year in Columbia. Look at what Brian Kelly's doing this year in Baton Rouge with that LSU team that sits atop the SEC West right now. I think especially after beating Utah, there was an expectation of Florida being this team that could surprise everybody this season, which I didn't think was realistic to begin with, given the schedule that Florida faced. But clearly you see what the emphasis is right now, guys. It's recruiting. It's upgrading talent that was deficient on this roster that they inherited, and it's primarily on the defensive side. Go back and look over the last couple months, multiple defensive line commitments, multiple guys in the secondary. Florida is playing with subpar SEC talent, particularly on the lines of scrimmage right now, and that is priority number one for Billy Napier and the staff is upgrade what those guys are able to work with and develop to try to get on par with the Georgias and the Tennessees now and the Alabamas as well.
Chris Doering, SEC Network, at Chris Doering on Twitter, and he is on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline with us.
And I noticed what you just did, by the way, because for years it has been on par with the Alabama and the Georgias, and then it became the Georgias and the Alabamas, and you just slid in a little with the Georgias, Tennessees, and the Alabamas. I noticed that. That was intentional.
No purpose, no shots taken there, but I do think it's interesting, like, outside of the area that you guys are in, I think everywhere in the country has fallen in love with this Tennessee team. And it's ironic to say here in Gainesville that there are actually people that like watching what Josh Heupel and this Vols team have done. It's almost like, hey, if you can't beat the bully up, hey, let's watch somebody else beat the bully up and take joy in that. But I think it also gives hope to a lot of teams too, man. If you can find the right quarterback and the right system, it can even the playing field a lot quicker than it used to, particularly with the transfer portal and what you can do to correct holes in your roster so immediately.
Speaking of Tennessee, Kentucky can drag you down to their level of play better than anybody in the conference. Do they have the personnel to do that to Tennessee's offense?
I don't know if they necessarily have the personnel to do it, but I do think the style contrast is interesting. And sometimes, the best defense is a good offense. And I would say that maybe the most important defender this week for Kentucky is actually Chris Rodriguez, who plays on the offensive side. He's got to be able to run the football with that same physical mentality that he's brought back to this offense since returning. A lot of people questioned in September when this offensive line was struggling, how much difference can Chris Rodriguez actually make? I would argue that we've seen so far that not only does he make a difference in his ability to run through some of the arm tackles that we're bringing down the other backs, but that he's energized that offensive line that seems to be blocking better. Also, I don't know if people realize, you go through and look at just about every important defensive category in the SEC. Kentucky's at or near the top in each of those. And it's pretty remarkable what they've been able to do. If you can sometime slow that offense down, keep them on the sideline, maybe get a turnover, which Tennessee doesn't commit many of, keep this game close going into the fourth quarter, maybe you have a shot. But ironically, you guys answer this question for me because we talked about it on our show. What's a win for Brad White's defense? What point total is a win holding Tennessee's offense to?
31.
31.
Yeah.
I said 31 as well. They've averaged 10 straight games of 30-plus points, which is pretty incredible. But if you could hold them to the low end of that may actually give you an opportunity in the fourth quarter.
Okay, outside of that, well, I'm going to combine this. Better quarterback right now, Will Levis or Jaden Daniels at LSU?
Oof. What are we talking about? Are we talking about next level quarterback?
I'm just talking about right now, guys that can close this last 4 or 5 game stretch out, play really well.
Yeah, I never would have imagined I would have said this, particularly in the way that the season started for LSU and for Jaden Daniels, but he has rounded into a complete quarterback, and I've really watched him on tape over the last couple of games. Part of the reason is he's trusting his receivers, of which they have a very talented receiving core. He's giving those guys one-on-one chances when they have those opportunities. 2, he's trusting his offensive line, who's gotten a lot better over the last couple of weeks. 3, they're staying in third and very manageable. Over the last 2 games, I think I want to say against Florida, he was 8 of 9 passing on third down. Last week, I think he was 4 of 6 in the final 3 quarters of the game on third down. So he's doing a much better job of finding his guys and throwing the ball accurately to them. But that running game, he is unstoppable in the tight red zone. When they go with that zone read game, there's nothing that defenses can do to stop him. So I would probably take Jaden Daniels, ironically, right now over Will Levis just because of the full, robust amount of things that he can bring to your offense.
All right, see Chris Doering on the SEC Network. He's with Bernsey on the mornings there on SiriusXM, especially every Monday right after the games on SEC Network. At Chris Doering on Twitter, at CDoering28 on Instagram. Thank you, Chris. Always good talking with you.
Yeah, great being with you guys. Take care.
All right, buddy. Take care. Chris Doering with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.